All right, testing. This is God. Welcome to the stream. Now let's turn that off. How about that? There we go. Am I on the internet? Hello, testing 1 2. There I am. Good morning. Good morning. We have some early chatters. Welcome, Nicholas and Larnell. Sorry, my chair is too... I have a new chair. You guys notice the chair? I don't know what all the buttons do, but there's something that makes it go up. There we go. That's too high. I think we're good now. So, I got one of those really super nerdy chairs, right? I really liked the game, and I needed a new chair. My old one was like 8 years old, and was peeling and coming apart, and there was little black fake leather all over my floor. So, here we are, new chair, feels good, costs too much, but these things last a while, so I don't mind. You pay for a good chair, you know? I mean, you need to pay for a good chair. All right, we all on here? But Larnell says it's an honor to learn from you. That seems like a lot. No, thank you. I am subscribed to Skillshare. Thank you so much. Yeah, I never know when people slip in from other places. So if you're, welcome from Skillshare or Udemy. My courses are very cheap there all the time now. If you looked at my courses like 2 years ago and you're like, that's way too much, like go to udemy.com. They're not that much. You also don't get my Discord and like my feedback and stuff, but still. What else? Thank you for coming. First time in the chat from Maryland. Hello. How are you? I'm going to test something. Jimmy, are you older or younger? I'm going to guess you're older than 40 years old. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. If I'm wrong, then I won't tell you my idea. If I am, then just a unscientific test. You guys came to watch coloring, right? I'm now a what do they call them? I'm a variety streamer now. You have to listen to me talk for 3 hours, and then I'll start coloring. No, that's not true. When you were 7, you went to a Christian school and got in trouble for asking God for a new bike during prayer. Okay. Where do you guys go? Why that story? You couldn't see the chair. Yeah, it's a secret lab. If you look up like secret lab cyberpunk, they have all sorts of nerdy chairs. You can buy like Game of Thrones, and if you're a Gryffindor or whatever, like they've got chairs for you. Oh yeah, the God thing. You're okay. I got you. Is being a middle age or too old? No, not at all. It was just, I think my generation does that like you're on the radio. They're like, hey, it's Kurt from San Diego. How's it going? Like we remember that. And so, is my theory correct? Okay, sorry. People are just leaving now. Welcome everybody. It is the Wednesday weekly stream. It's a little bit early actually, but I'm getting started now because I'm ready to go. I went to the gym this morning. I'm all fired up. This I found on Twitter. On Mr. David. Where is his Twitter? I pulled it up. Yeah. David Gianfelice. I think it's how you say his name. I apologize if you know how to actually spell his name or say his name. I'm trying here. But anyway, he posted that he said his old commission, like it was terrible. No, that's great. But I really liked it. It's a very cool, very, very cool Conan. Conan. Not Conan. It's Conan. This is Conan. The other guy does podcasts. This is Conan. He chops people up. Anyway, we're going to color this today. Before we get started, is there someone here that's like, I would color this, but what would I do first? What would be your question about this piece? Is there something here that would make you stop and go, how do I do that? I decided to ask this. Somebody asked me the other day more about my thought process up front, and was interested in that. And so, if there's anything, questions like that before I get going, now would be a good time to ask those. Kurt, did I see correctly? I'm going to Thought Bubble. I am. I'm so excited. I've never been across the pond at all. Been to Mexico once. That was the only time I've ever used my passport. So this is going to be a whole new experience. So I feel like it's almost a rule. If I were to like Google Conan comic book covers, let's see, Conan the Barbarian comics. There's so much like warm heat, like, not all of them, of course, but like when I think of Conan, I think in those sort of color schemes. So do we want to like roll into that today? Do we want to fight that? Do we want to do something different? Like, not fight it. That's a little strong. But of course, we could almost do anything here, and it's gonna look good because the art is good. And I'm right about Jimmy. Okay, good. All right. Drawings with an open border like this one, where the ground just fades into the white of the background with the sky. I don't always know what to do with that. Interested to see what you do. That's a good question. Yeah. I'm gonna treat this as if it's just full bleed. I'm not even gonna think about cutting this short anywhere. And so I'm gonna treat this as if there is no border. So we're just going to the edges. I don't think I'm gonna get any cutesy border stuff going on. And that means that when we get to down here at the bottom, I'm probably like in the area where that transition, like I was talking about this on the Discord the other day, in the area where there's a transition like this, and your brain knows like this is sky, and hold on, my computer is, let me turn touch off. Yeah, I figured out what was. A couple of weeks ago, you remember where my computer was just going insane all the time? Yeah, it was the touch stuff was on. I was doing touch things. I'm like, Cintiq. Anyway, when you have like this is sky and this is ground, like when you're in that sort of mindset, you're thinking like too much about, how did I put it? It sounded very slick at the time. Like it was really like you're looking at the lines and not the art or something like that. You know what I mean? Like this area is probably the least important area in this, like in this whole piece, And so what will happen here is probably just some kind of subtle transition, or, there's no need to like introduce that separation. Like, and I know a lot of colors that have very like black and white thinking when it comes to, staying inside the lines. Very specifically, it's like back out, look at the whole thing. Like, what is this area doing? And don't fight what that area is doing in the line art. In the line art, this is meant to be the most boring area. So don't get cute would be my advice. But anyway, let me get this thing started before everybody leaves. So where do we want to start this? Crom, this is going to be good. Thank you, Ben. Good to see you. Hey, Jason, how's it going? Do you envision all the colors in a place ahead of time, or do you start with a main color and roll from there? Well, you're about to find out. I think because of the crows and because of the creepy tree, that I think it should be night and not warm. Okay, so I'm thinking we do like a cool Conan cover, a color with some coolth to it. Oh man. Anyway, so I'm gonna start with like a middle of the road color that is not very saturated and is not particularly bright, and it's intentionally about halfway down value wise because it makes it easier for me to measure from here to here value wise and from down here to here value wise if I've got that sort of stake in the ground right in the middle, you know, right as a midtone. If you start with a really bright color, like say I started this with white instead, okay, one, it's blinding me and I don't like it. But now I can measure to the halfway point and I can measure, you know, to the darkest part of the image, but I am measuring further. It's like you know, it's easier to measure something when you can kind of break it up. I don't have to make that big, long guess at where I am. So if I do it this way, I kind of know precisely if I am brighter or if I am darker or whatever it is I'm doing from this point. And so it gives you a think of it as like a cornerstone is not quite the right word, but anyway, I'll figure out a good name for that. Does Conan even go out at night? He's always so tan. Maybe. I'm gonna do this on a layer on top just so I can adjust that base later if I want to. And I'm just gonna start. I'm gonna get a big dumb brush that doesn't do anything but it's fast and throw some color around here and see if anything jumps out at me as being what I want to do. But this is sort of the temperature I'm thinking about. The other thing I'm thinking about here, there's so much of this that will sort of dictate where you should be, okay? At least in your values. And if you've got any clue at all about what your values are doing, then you know that you've got a very you've got a good way of choosing the rest of your colors. So like in this case, this tree is really, really dark, okay? And it's also along with the birds. And these are really important compositionally, okay? Because one, you know, they're sort of framing him in this way, you know, I mean, dumb this down. They're doing this and the tree's doing this to help support your main focal point. It's a way of like strengthening that focal point. If he was just out here against the sky floating around, you wouldn't feel that intense, you know, sort of claustrophobic kind of thing. There's nowhere to run in this image. Like he is just, I feel like he is coming at us, you know. And so this being a very important compositional element means that it needs to stay dark, okay? So like if your first reaction was like, oh, well, let me do like a cool, you know, this is in the background, so let me change these lines to something else. Like, you're fighting the intention of what the artist intended if you're doing that, in my opinion, on this piece. Ask me that on something else. It might not be the case. But, so what that means, what does this mean? If this is dark and it needs to stay dark, then what do I need to keep around it? Not dark. Okay, so that immediately narrows down my color choices a little bit. Is I'm going to be at least mid-tones or brighter because I don't want to be competing with a dark color down here. Okay, because now I'm losing my tree. I can't really see the tree, you know. So anyway, of whatever colors I decide to do here, they're going to stay on that, you know, bright side up here. Make sense? You guys taking notes? And let me see. We can also, I'm starting to think about like saturation a little bit. Like, do I want the background to feel really intense and him not, or vice versa. It's like that's a choice I need to be thinking about. Um, but yeah, before I get too far into color choices, I need to think about the values a little bit more here. So I'm just gonna make a levels adjustment here that brightens everything quite a bit and then leans it blue a little bit. So if I put it on that mask now, I can choose my background, and this is a textury brush, and so it's slow in clip. If you're wondering like why does it look so jittery, it's because clip sucks at textury brushes. And I'm also thinking about, again, compositionally, like this tree is sort of, Kurt, don't do hand signals, they can't see that. This tree is sort of doing this number, right? It's sort of mostly going this way, okay? The bird is mostly going around that way, and then he's sort of looping back, and these guys are facing us, turning back toward him, which pulls us toward the center of the image, right? So I can kind of help that along by, let me get all of that off there. I can kind of help that along by thinking about if I want to speed that little spiral up, okay? Again, like speed that action up, as I guess you could call it. I can get like some big bright colors going this way, and it sort of helps to, it sort of enhances that effect. You know, that's something I might think about. This is, I just realized this is two. What is the resolution on this? Is lower than I thought it was. I'm gonna raise that up. Don't ever do this, kids. If I was actually, we want to add, don't average colors, hard edges. $4,000? It's for this, so this is fine. Okay, we're better. Anyway. Why didn't that merge down properly? Interesting. It's kind of a textury brush. I don't quite know where I want to go with this background just yet. But I'm just, right now, more worried about getting the value right than getting the colors right. And I'm working, I'm going to make sure that I've got my CMYK preview on, because that's going to really affect, especially where I am with these, if I try to saturate this, it doesn't really work very well in print. And he's also got the, the big dark value on the top of his head. And so that's another place we can sort of, again, like push it a little bit behind it to just, again, increase that contrast, increase the tension there. And I'm going to darken all of this a little bit. And we're in the ballpark. And in this case, to start with, when I'm thinking about warm colors, I'm going to go gray. Because on a piece like this that is like all cool, like any real gray will appear very warm, you know, relatively speaking. Like that's just gray. But it's got a lot of warmth to it because it's surrounded by all that blue. I've talked about this on the channel quite a bit, but if that is confusing, let me know. And I'm gonna, on an overlay layer, I'm gonna see what it looks like to mix in a few other colors in here. Like just leaning some of these colors a little bit green. Basically, the more I can establish this strong, cool palette, the more that the warmer the grays are gonna look. And I think that'll kind of be my focus on this, maybe, is to just try to keep everything on one side of the color wheel. And then maybe we'll do a few little accents of other stuff. This is going to be cool. It's going to be super cool. I'm going to have to make that t-shirt. I am. Hey, Marta, how's it going? Good to see you. Mr. Powerlifting, how are you? All right. And I didn't flat all of this last night. Like, very briefly, I just, like, did that. I don't have flats for all these birds and whatnot. But, I'm not really going to worry about it. I'm just going to pick some colors that are already on the canvas for now. And I'm going to try to do that as much as possible once I get all the most of what I want on here. And then to me, the more you can pick then from the canvas means you're not introducing new colors unless you're being very intentional about it. Like, you have to make the choice to leave the canvas, you know? And so yeah, stuff like that's something to think about. I think that adds a very moody tone to it so far. Yeah, like, this is not he's not in a good mood, I don't think. I mean, you guys tell me I'm not great at reading people. He might be coming to kill us. So yeah. This is the last thing that you see. And anytime I go outside the lines, I'm just hitting the color picker, which is the button on the what you call it? Stylus. That is a word. He's just hangry. I mean, they all look a little hungry. Yeah. I mean, he's ready to clean up. They're ready for the scraps. I mean, maybe that's what's going to happen. These are mostly just silhouettes, so I'm kind of like just hinting at some darker stuff in here and like letting most of the line work do its stuff. Mr. Fox, how's it going? All right. And again, like, looking at what's on the canvas already, what's the darkest thing I've got here? Right about that. Yeah, there's also quite a bit of really good like hatching and stuff in here, and so even with this, the tree is dark, but I'm still not picking like a crazy dark color, because the color that I choose and all of the hatching blends into a darker color in your perception of what's happening. You know, it's why, like, if you ever get art that has like what would you call it, like Zipatone dots or whatever. It's like if you're trying to maintain the same exact color over that, like it's gonna appear to be darker to people. And I'll come back over this probably with some highlights and whatnot in a second. But I'm gonna follow what's here. Like everything that's there is awesome. So I'm gonna stick with that plan. Sorry. Yeah, and I'm also like I'm intentionally like not being super clean with this, you know, as far as like making sure every little thing is perfect, because the line art has a little, you know, jitteriness to it and has a little action to it. And so at least on this tree, you know, the lines on here are a little bit cleaner, and then the tree's a little bit rougher. So it's a way that he's creating contrast in his line art. Some clean lines, rough lines. Yeah, halftone, zipatone, there's a lot of different names for it. I still suffer from thinking of literal local colors. My first instinct would select a brown and color the tree. Well, what would happen if we did? Like, I mean, it would change, it would really change the feeling of this thing. You know, if we say this is brown, I'm not saying it's a bad choice, but it would definitely be a different feel, because now I have this really super warm element that if I don't offset that with like other warm things, like maybe maybe these things become warm, and it's like, okay, well, maybe we can start to make that work, but it's a totally different feel. You know, the strong complementary colors versus like a completely cool palette are gonna have really different feelings. Um, but it doesn't mean it's right or wrong. So anyway. And I'm just basically going to mostly follow what he's got on this tree as far as highlights go. You know, I'm not gonna fight it if it's working. And I'm also not like what I'm doing is a little irregular. Like it's not like I'm intentionally like making it jittery, and I'm pushing and pulling on the pressure, and it's not at all like clean because it's a tree. so I want it to feel rough, and that doesn't quite feel the same, or you want it to feel a little rough around the edges. And what color is... I actually haven't read a lot of Conan. I'm gonna keep saying Conan and drive people crazy. Conan. I spent way more time watching Conan O'Brien than reading Conan. Conan lizard pet. I mean, it's a Komodo dragon. I know. But they're like, I mean, they're not. This is this is pulling up Conan O'Brien looking at pets on his show. Um, Monitor lizard, maybe. Sorry, Google is Google becoming more useless to y'all? It really just not good. Yeah, this thing's like brownish gray, greenish. It's just very, very neutral. Google's struggling lately. It really feels like there's just... I'm not getting what I'm looking for there anymore. It's like, what are you doing? And then on him, again, I'm like picking from the sky around him and just putting some of that in here. Is this coming through for y'all? This is pretty subtle. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm keep catching myself look at the stream as a thumbnail, basically on my other monitor. I guess I should, so people know what we're doing. Oh, I'm getting to play with like VHS effects on this book, and like on the nasty. It's very fun. Oh, I should save this. In something other than a PNG format. So that means it hasn't been recording. Darn it. I swore I saved this last night. Alright, we'll start recording here. Put that over there. Sorry. I'm a little disorganized today. My computer's working good though. I had to rebuild it basically. If you cared about that. Probably not. There we go. Google is a thing to log into stuff at this point. Wow. It's funny how true that is. But this should be a good lesson for you guys that struggle with thinking about values, because I and struggle with thinking about local color. Like, who was it? The comic deal that was stuck in thinking in terms of local color. I'm really thinking like at no point did I really care about the color of the lizard. It was more about like how dark he was, how light he was. And if I choose, dark colors in one area of the color wheel, and then I'm shifting those from, cool grays down here to, brighter blues up here slightly, like that's like the whole range just for this guy. And so it doesn't matter what color he is the point that I'm trying to make. It helps to keep it helps me to think in terms of color warmth. Yes, me too. Because in this case, I started him with a cooler base, or with a warmer base. Technically, it's grayer on this one, and the light I'm adding is all cooler. And if I need something in the middle, then I'm gonna think in the middle. If I'm over here for my lights and I'm here for my darks, then my midtone's going to be somewhere in the middle. I've got saturation to play with, but it means that you've got a system. At least for this guy in this part of the canvas, you know exactly what you're choosing from, And if you do say, well, I do want this guy to lean a certain color at a certain point, and you get to the end, and I'm like, I want a little bit of green in there, a little bit of red. Then get on an overlay layer. And just you can subtly shift it in those directions and not lose any of your work, So maybe he's a little green, maybe he's a little warm. It doesn't really matter. Like, everything I've done is still coming through. So anyway, once you just have the confidence of knowing that, it really does go a long way. Because you're not scared of like, well, what if I do all of this and it's all too whatever, too purple, too blue, too light, too whatever. Like, it's digital. Like, you can do whatever you want. You can fix it later. green look great? Yeah, it did. But he's a lizard. Of course it does. And he'll probably be a little bit greener by the end of this. Um, I do like the idea of the challenge of not basically not crossing. Where I for once don't have my color wheel open. I can't believe it. I should have it on speed, in a holster. Yeah, even this feels warm to me. You know what I mean? So like cool all of this. Really just this. Yeah, I want this whole, why is that not coming through? Back up, back up, back up, back up, back up, back up. Yeah, my color gamut is gonna be like this. It's gonna be like a slice of pizza. And so if we need warmth, we go toward the warmth. So that's as warm as I can get on this canvas. And then when I want cooler, we go that way. Be a fun little challenge. Where can we pick up that super useful color wheel? If you look up like James Gurney DeviantArt gamut masking color wheel, you'll find it. It's a download at DeviantArt. All right, and this guy needs to have some really intense highlights on him because he's a lizard. And so they have all these little scales and things that are very reflective. And if I do it kind of jagged and messy like this, you'll think like, oh, he's look at the million scales this guy painted on this. No, it was like 12 scales, but your brain fills in the rest of it. I really like this drawing. I like the way this guy draws. There we go. So that was like a minute of scaling, and he looks like he's covered in a jillion scales at this scale. But it's really get close, and it all... This took me a while to figure this out. It doesn't matter what it looks like here. Not really. It matters what it looks like here. I know others have been discussing tablets recently. Sorry for bringing it up again. No, it's cool, dude. Talk about whatever. You want to look into getting one to replace your iPad, but I only have a Mac Mini. Will any work with it? I'm pretty sure Mac Minis have like pretty standard connection options and adapters and whatnot. I don't think it'd be a problem at all. Macs have always been very friendly to the creative community for the most part. I'm thinking about this sword, knowing it's going to be really bright. I'm just going to go ahead and do that real quick. Whoops. Oh, there's my thumbnail. I like scribbled that on the thumbnail for 4 seconds, and then I've learned you got to put some color in there, a little bit of contrast. I know you can't believe that. Look at that. Look at that. I love how brown that looks. It's crazy to me. I'm impressing myself. Sorry. Or not really impressing myself. It's just so crazy to me that color theory works this way. Like, it absolutely looks brownish. It's just perfectly gray. I'm glad I can still nerd out about about this stuff 10 years in. I feel like I'm just now figuring color out in the last year or two. So I got a long way to go. Hey Prado, how's it going? Welcome, welcome. I didn't know if it would have some kind of restriction regarding RAM or processing power or something. I mean, unless it's like an old Mac Mini, then, but no, I mean, they've been pretty nice, I think, for a while. But yeah, watching you from Bogota. Welcome. Oh yeah, what Jason's saying. Sorry if you're watching this on recording. You're like, what? We're just talking about tablets. All right. Let's just go ahead and do the rest of the background while we're at it. You feel like that sometimes you color something and really like it, and later you don't like it, or you see several things you've done differently. That just, you know what that means? That means that you're growing as an artist. That is what that means. And that is a good thing. There was a stretch of my career early on where I would look back at things from like 2 months earlier, going, what on earth was I doing? You know, then you figure out what you should be doing about issue 3 or so. You know, you need a couple to get rolling. But early on, like I was just improving a lot very, very quickly because I was doing it a lot. And so when you look back and you think, oh, that sucks, it's like, it really doesn't suck. You just got better, and you found something that you would do differently, or found, or you might work, do differently or work a different way or whatever. But it's a good thing. I've learned to appreciate that. It's much better than going months where you don't feel like you're getting better at all. I've done that too. I think I have a solid 3-month threshold separating the work that I like. Hey, you're getting there. No, but there's stuff that I can look back from years ago and be like, this is not terrible. Like, I would do things differently, but it was good enough that they decided to publish it. And so how bad could it really be? That is not a healthy attitude to have. Oh my god. Anyway. And if you get too worried about what's happening down here, just remember, nobody's really looking down there. So keep it loose. Now here's a mind twister for you. The axe is gray. If we were to put this in an Apple store under all white lighting, I'm going to say the axe would be gray, right? Probably. And let's say that this thing wrapping around it is some kind of warm canvas brownish beige color. On this drawing, gray is not gray. Okay? On this drawing, gray is warm. So I've got to keep that in mind if I want this part to feel warmer than this part. Does that make sense? So I'm going to select the whole thing. And I'm just going to choose like actual gray, all right? At whatever value that I want, which is, let's say it's right about there. Whatever that is. I don't want to go all the way to white. I want to leave some room for highlights. So if I put that on here, it's going to appear warm. Okay, the whole thing appears very warm because it's surrounded by cool colors. Probably a little, nah, it's not too bright. But so in order to, let me just get this part. In order to just get the axe to be gray, I actually have to make it cooler than gray. Is everybody following? This is such a weird quirk of color theory that I'm kind of fascinated by it. But I'm cooling it off so that it appears to be grayer against the warm handle. Does that make any kind of sense at all? This is why color is hard, by the way. You're like, why is color seem to be incredibly complicated? Well, yeah, you're doing three-dimensional contrast measurements in a cylinder. Anyway. Did I lose everyone there? Did that make sense at all? Oops. All right, and again, I'm switching to the pencil to get these little sharp highlights. I like the jaggedness of it. It's got a little tooth to it, I guess. All right, have we got all the background? Pretty much. It's close. We might tweak that a little bit later. Let's do the fun part. Am I online? Is my chat working? Is this thing on? When it gets too quiet for too long, you guys scare me. You can't all lurk. No, I'm kidding. You can all lurk if you want to. Okay, you're here. Good. A bunch of introverted comic book artists lurking in a chat, not saying anything. It's crazy. Just insane. We're captivated. I call BS. I like how this is going so far. Yeah, so I never used to. This used to freak me out when I was a kid. I was watching. I think I've told this before. I did it in a course or something. I can't remember. But this ring around his head here. I don't know if you guys. Uh, it's something you'll see a lot of artists do because it's how light works. When you have your hair parted just like this, you end up with this kind of ring, right around the edge. The first time I ever noticed this, I had to have been in like middle school, and I was watching a football game, and the football players' helmets look something like this, right? And I noticed that the lights for the stadium could be completely like the ring around the stadium at the top. You could see the whole thing in every helmet. I thought about this for a long, long time. This is the kind of nerd I was. Okay, I was probably like 14. And like my brain was like, why isn't it doing this? How am I seeing the other side? It really made me really think about how light bounces at a very, very young age. It's such a weird thing to notice. But I don't know if I could find, let's see, NFL close up game photo. There's a point to this. I won't be able to find exactly what I'm looking for probably fast enough, but no, probably not. But what I realized way later, and it's what's happening here as well, is the light is bouncing. This ring is up here around the stadium. The lights that are on this side are the ones that are bouncing up this way. But this light that's on the other side, quote unquote, behind him on the other side of him, like if this is what's close and then this is the far side back here, there's still enough room for that light to bounce off and hit our eyes from here. And so you'll see the back side there. And that's also what's happening on his hair. you have the, and the shape of this helps as well, but if you ever are watching a football game, you can look for that next time and be like, that weirdo colorist on the internet told me about this. And oh man. I've been asked to color a comic using a more cel shaded look, and I'm feeling a little anxious about it as I never do it. Any tips would be great. I don't know how to answer that, like in a soundbite. Make sure your shadows are good. Like people think cel shading is easy because it's simple. It's like there's nothing harder. I don't think you have to be very confident about those lights and shadows, and stop blending. Yeah, you're blending because you're not confident in the edge. Hmm. Why do I recognize that in other people? Because I used to do that. The drawing gives not so much depth in Conan's body. I disagree entirely. There's quite a bit of depth in this. In the shadows, in the rendering on the muscles, there's a lot of depth. How many layers of color do you need to give volume to the character? It's not really about color layers or types of color. It could be one, it could be 50, But yeah, it's art. You can do whatever you want. So I can do this, be like, looks pretty cool. You gonna tell me this doesn't look cool? I think it looks cool. Do what you want, man. All right. For starters, I'm gonna fill in. Well, actually, I want to darken him just completely. And boots. Everything that I haven't colored yet, anyway. because the background is pretty bright. Excuse me, probably a little too dark. So, if we start, do we want to start with deep saturated blue, or do we want to start gray? I can see either one working. So if we start with a gray base, and I pick cool colors, I'm gonna experiment here for a second. So if it's like this, do we like that? I think it looks pretty cool. Or if he is cool, we'll try it both ways. Oh, did I change his hair? I didn't mean to change his hair. I didn't change his hair yet. I'm about to. There we go. Sorry. So if we saturate... Oh, I made it gray, so I can't saturate it. Sorry. I don't like that about Clip or Photoshop. Like, if something is 0% saturated, you can't saturate it. If it's 1% saturated, you can saturate it. So if we go dark, cool, don't want purple, and then if our highlights that we made that were gray are now something else, it all looks cool. But I think I like the other better. I think I want to start here. Yeah, I'm gonna just delete all this stuff. Is that everything on that layer? Let's just delete that whole layer. Coloring has given me a new fondness for bald characters. Yeah. Coloring hair is fun. Yeah, I've got one of those 5 bladed things now, and I'm trying to just like keep it all off now. I'm at that point. Alright, so if we're there, so I want to get brighter and cooler. Let's see now. I want a mid-tone in here first. Yeah, I think I like that. I don't know if mid-tone's the right word because it's about the same, but I want some of that in there first. So this rendering pass is going to be a little bit looser because I'm really just sort of building up. Like, you can think if we're sculpting, I'm knocking the edges off of the block right now. You know what I mean? Like it's all meant to just help build it up a little bit. And then we'll take this and we'll run with it a little bit more. Do I just have his... Let me just make sure his skin is selected. There we go. But to me, if I build up the values in really subtle stages, it's, I mean, you can go either way. Like we were talking about, cell shading is just making a real strong decision of this is gonna be light side and this is gonna be the shadow side. If you, the opposite of that would be starting with your darkest, color and then building it up very slowly to a brighter color. And by doing it that way, you end up with more a more like textured look. It's a little bit more what's the word I'm looking for? There's more detail because all these levels of detailing are overlapping. And I'm pressing a little bit harder on the top sides of most of these muscles here to make sure they're a little bit brighter. But again, that's pretty subtle though at this point. If you're just joining, welcome. I sort of challenged myself on this one to not use anything outside of the cool part of the color wheel. And so far, I'm digging how this is coming together. And very often, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but I'll try to just follow the actual shapes of the muscles, like make the brush the size of whatever it is I'm doing, and like go that route with it. All right, and I think. Let's see, this, oh, I didn't flat these separately. Let me select these real quick, because I don't want to do this selection again. I saw the Into the Spider-Verse movie. I won't spoil anything. It's really good. I need to see it again, because it's so... I felt old watching this movie. Like it's so fast how this movie is cut. Like it felt a little bit like there was some TikTok influence in there or something. I'm just like, can we turn this down like 20%, please? Like slow it down. But it's really really good. I it's on me. It's not on them. But no, it's they did. It was such. I will say this, like, it's probably the strongest use of color in a superhero movie ever, and it's not close. I mean, literally, within a scene, it would, like, if the tone changed, the colors would change. Like, in the frame, it would just happen. And I don't know if I've ever seen that before. It was really, really good. But it was a little, it really, there was sections of it that I'm just like can we stop the ride so I can see what's going on? But oh, it's so good though. I'm really not knocking it. Like I said, it's probably a me problem. Excuse me. All right. So you guys kind of follow what I'm doing here. I guess at this point, I'm picking from the gray side of this box when I want cooler, warmer colors, and over here when I want cooler colors, which is about as simple as it gets, I guess. But if you have questions or anything, feel free to ask. I don't know what else to explain about this at this stage. Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. It's a strong movie. And if you're into Spider-Man like me and you know your history, it's like there's so many little Easter eggs and things, you know. It's like the whole thing is an Easter egg in a way. But yeah, there was some fight scenes though where I was just like, this is what I saw in my head when I was, 9 reading Spider-Man. Like this is how he's supposed to move around, and that's what I liked about it. I'm very much looking forward to seeing Oppenheimer and Barbie, which they both come out the same day. Like that's gonna be a roller coaster of a day. It's like, would you rather go be, which one of those do you want to walk out of last? I'm guessing it's Barbie. Also, I will say, I didn't really get like Spider Punk was just a costume in the Spider-Man movie for me. Like I don't really have any connection to Spider Punk, and he's now one of my favorite Spider-Man. Oppenheimer delayed? Was it? As of when? I hope not. All right, let's see. I'm gonna use the same similar colors on this thing. Actually, it's in shadow, isn't it? Darken that a little bit more. I'm thinking. Yeah, that background's probably going to shift around a little bit. I think it needs to actually, it might need to be brighter. I don't know. We'll see once we're done here. All right, so brighter highlights. Now this one, this pass, I'm thinking a little bit tighter. I'm gonna merge this down. Both still July 22nd. Yeah, I thought so. And there's a whole little fake, internet battle going on about which one's going to win out, and little factions are popping up, and it's all hopefully in good fun. But yeah, but yeah, I think they're both opening the same weekend though. Yeah, I've been coloring a different Conan piece for fun while watching the stream. I've definitely picked up a few things so far. Uh, what have you picked up? Like, I'm interested in you specifically because I know you've been around a while and you've heard all of my BS at some point. And so, yeah, let me know. Also, I give this advice a lot, but you should all be following a bunch of CrossFitters and like fitness models, and you know, they're always concerned with how they look. They've always got good lighting. Not always, but most of the time. But it's like just perpetual reference for you there. And this is all the same color that I started with on this pass. It's just varying amounts of pressure. And plus, he's going to be the only thing on the canvas that has such light colors and such dark colors right next to each other, you know? I'm actually going to a figure fitness physique, whatever they call it these days, competition Saturday. One of my CrossFit coaches is competing as a physique competitor, I think they call it. Bunch of people with big muscles. Yeah, like I don't know. I don't really know how to explain this any more than I have a million other times. But I'm breaking all these things down into, you know, basic shapes and cylinders and excuse me. And again, I know I say this a lot, but I'm not just going like, okay, the top of every muscle and the bottom of every, you know, like as he's sort of in like a deadlift type position here a little bit. So he's leaning forward. You can see how far his head forward is, right? And so uh, his chest is not vertical. You know, he's not doing this. You know, he's down like this. And so, you know, I'm going to hint at a little bit of lighting from the top down here, but it's not going to be, you know, it's not going to be as intense all the way down, you know, because as we go under, that light's not going to show up. You know, same thing kind of on this leg. Um, there's parts of it that obviously like the light's going to pick up, like in these areas, but not that leg, not to the same amount, you know. There's something about this background that is bothering me. This does not mean I want guesses, but I think it's that. I think I want a little bit of. What am I? What am I trying to say? I want a little bit of warmth. I think in the background, maybe, possibly. It's not really warmth. I might. Yeah, I'm gonna have probably. I'm gonna shift the values around a little bit in the background. I think at some point. All right. Let's see. How much brighter can we get on this guy? And I've switched over to my pencil tool. Again, it's got a little bit more of a grit to it. You can barely see at this stage, but I'm also not doing a lot of light on his cheeks because, again, like his hair's kind of hanging down. They're not going to be really bright. Mr. Wood says, "Oh, I asked earlier about what he had picked up. You talked about sculpting, knocking the edges off first, starting broad and working tighter. Mm-hmm. It's something I've picked up a lot more the last couple of years. Also, simplifying the background like this. I will be sure to share my piece when you're finished. Nice. Yeah, I don't think. Honestly, I just don't think the background's bright enough. Like, I think that's what it's going to boil down to. Um, yeah, that's basically the problem. We'll fix it in the end. I don't know, something about the contrast. I don't know anything about that, so I have to. Sometimes I'm just dumb. Like, yeah, these brights aren't as bright as you think they are. Anyway, I like the rendering on this. I like how this is turning out. Am I doing this on that layer? I guess I am. I didn't really intend to do that on this layer, but we will. And I'm kind of thinking about following like all this little hatching. I'm thinking about these like the muscles and how they would fold and like the directions they would kind of fold, and a lot of that's in here. Like you can see the lines he's drawn, and so I'm just kind of following that. Let me match this outline up. I kind of did two different things here. There, that's better. All right, we're getting there. I love your limited palette approach, although I'm not so confident to do a full-on limited scope yet. I don't know if I am. It's like it's coming together though. It's coming together. Um, I kind of like the like ultra detailed sections against these very flat sections. Like I think that actually like it's kind of a look that I don't know that I've tried that I kind of like. You know what's I just realized what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna break my rule. I'm gonna break it in one way. At the very end, I'm gonna make this red, this blood red. I think, and some of these little dots of blood and stuff. I think I'm gonna try them red. Although it does look cool this way. By the way, after listening to you talk about ChatGPT on another stream, you started using it for your website. Simply amazing. It really is. Like I've got like multiple instances of it, like acting as different people in my business now. It's like I've got like social media, chat GPT here. I've got this guy here. This guy's developing this here. Like, uh, I like the sort of warmth going through Conan, color vibration stuff, I think. Yeah, a little bit. All right, so I gotta brighten this background. It's driving me nuts. Um, let's see. What do I want to do here? Not that. um, like it's so simple, but it works, doesn't it? It might be too on the nose. What if all of this is white? What if we didn't do any of that stuff? Um, yeah, it definitely needs to be lighter. Yeah, we're getting there. All right. So if I select him, and I'm going to make a levels adjustment on top. Actually, I'm not going to do a levels adjustment. I'm going to do a curves adjustment. And I'm going to brighten the bright stuff and darken the dark stuff. And figure out where I want to be for this. Most of everything here is a mid-tone, which is why this has such a big effect on it. We're right around there, I think. All right. So basically, the way this is done currently, he is the only thing on the canvas that is gray. And he is like, the base is perfectly gray. And it gets a little bit cooler. So I'm wondering, instead of that, I'm doing this on a new layer. If I spread a little bit of that warmth around, not kind of everywhere, but in some of the darker parts of this maybe. I don't want that to be the only place on the canvas those colors are. Like, we don't need that strong of a focus here. Whoa. Don't do that. How about we save? Now's a good time to save. I still can't believe we've got apps freezing trying to autosave in 2021. Yeah, we're warming up the crows or whatever these things are. So yeah, I think what I'm going to do is select him minus the weapons. I don't want the weapons to be affected by this. And on an overlay layer, I'm going to pull in some of this coolth over his legs so that all blends a little bit better. I'm also going to cool off that back leg so that comes forward some. And some of these little shadow areas, we're going to cool this off a little bit. Yeah. It was a little too much separation between the foreground and background. So we're kind of bringing them back together strategically. This little shape is light. Light, I say. There we go. We're in the staring at it stage. We're getting warmer. What's on that layer? Nothing. I'm gonna choose get by my pencil tool again, and I'm gonna try something here that I reserve the right to change my mind about. I'm gonna do this kind of quick and ugly, and then maybe tighten it up. I want to see what this looks like. With a little bit of, yeah, I think I like that. Well, this is on top of the lines, but maybe he'll forgive me. And again, I'm not hitting them all. Like, you hit a few of them. That randomness helps, especially with, like I said, with things like trees and. I don't think this is like necessary. I just think it looks cool. It's not like, oh, it needs this or something. Like, it doesn't. I like the way it looks. Sorry, I got quiet. All right. Sorry, I'm in experiment mode here for a second. I need to try something. don't know if I like that better or worse. I think I like the blue. All right, so now we've got the blood. And I think I'm gonna put a clipping mask on the inks. And we're gonna see what this looks like. Yeah, it looks cool. It looks cool. I don't know if this is meant to be blood or maybe they've been eaten and they just slinging the blood all over the place. Who knows? I don't know what his intention is there. But I'm going red anyway. I'll probably do some little blood splashes and stuff on him too. Because he can't be that bloody and not have bloody weapons, right? It's supposed to be. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm digging it. All right. I'm going to do a little bit more on. What is this thing doing? Every time it autosaves, Windows is doing weird stuff. Okay. So. Let's see. The reason my reaction is to pull my hands up is if you click while that screen is on, you can crash whatever app you're in. And I know that. So I'm just like, no. Yeah, I like it. I like it. I have blue screen phobia. Yeah, I can understand. We're getting really close to being done here. I'm gonna try something real quick. Um, that's not what I wanted to do. So yeah, this is just a levels adjustment that is brightening. And so I'm going to do a little bit of this over the top just to like add some texture, really. I mean, it's brightening a little bit, but I really just don't want the background to be really smooth. Not on this one. And I think something like that. I'll look at this in Photoshop. Which means, let me go ahead and export this too while I'm thinking about it. Oh, you know, the little lizard guy would have blood. Yeah, he did. He was hungry too. Yeah, they're really messy eaters. So. You pick this up if this was a cover. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. I like it too. I don't know if oh, I don't know what it is. I'll figure this out in a second. There's something about this that I'm not quite ready to give up on yet. I think that actually makes more it makes more sense to me to watch this on the thumbnail. That was a lot of it. It was a little imbalanced. I think that helped. Sorry, I'm just thinking. Maybe it was a little too saturated. I think that's all it was. I took some saturation out of the background, and now I'm a little bit happier with it. But I'm going to save this one more time. I'm going to export the video while I'm thinking about it. Because if I don't, I'll save this as a PSD file and like lose it. Yeah, it is recording. Let's see. Save as Photoshop document. Do that. You guys with me? YouTube's giving me warnings all of a sudden. How did you put the thumbnail up there? Oh, go to Window, Canvas, New Window, and it will just duplicate it. And so you can work on, I mean, they're both full, like, full canvases. So, like, I could jump over here and do stuff if I wanted to. It's the same, like, it's the same thing. Yeah, this is all getting really subtle now. And I don't think I've got everything set up yet in the new version of Photoshop yet. I just went ahead and only downloaded the new version when I had to reinstall everything. And I don't think my shortcuts are set up or anything right now. I'm just realizing. Luckily, I don't think we'll be in here very long. Let's see. Stream ideas. Sort by. There it is. And I also want to see all these blues, these bright blues. What is all of this? I don't know. I don't know what anything is going on here. Okay, back up, back up. Fit on screen. Control Y. Yeah, that's nice. It barely changes at all. So, yeah, I just really just wanted to make sure in Photoshop that it didn't do anything really stupid. So, if, and I don't think I'm going to do it on this, but if you wanted to, let's say you got to this point and you get the feedback from your editor that, hey, this is really cool and we like it, but we want a little bit more logo color. And you're like, I'm scared, I got to redo it. No, you don't. So go make, really all of this is distracting. I'm going to put all of this in one big folder. We're going to call it rendering. But if I make a new overlay layer above that, I can tint this existing stuff in a direction color-wise without it needing to all be like redone. Okay. I mean, I would come in with, you know, obviously like different colors and, you know, blah, 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 blah. But you're not, you know, married to this stuff if you, you know, after you're done with it. If we wanted the lizard to be green, you know, maybe we could shift him toward green a little bit. So it all looks cool because the drawing is very cool. But I kind of like my original. So any questions, comments, concerns before we wrap this up today? Thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, click buttons and click check the description and if you're not new here, thank you for coming back. But if there's any questions, I'll wait around a few minutes, see if anybody needs anything. Then I'm gonna go get some lunch. Good job. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It was fun. Like, this was really interesting. Like, I feel like I learned something on this one. I feel really comfortable in this direction with grays. I need to do a piece where it's mostly warm, and I'm working with grays. I'm curious about that and how, and I haven't done anything with it yet, I don't think. Do you ever do traditional stuff? That was really fun watching this being rendered. Oh, thank you. The shadow on his right leg almost makes his leg look translucent, and you can see the lizard through it. I hate that you're right. But no, you're right. Let's see, where was that? Right there. Yeah, the shadow. What it is the it would be okay if it wasn't for that shadow. That that shadow is so very in line with with the lizard. Yeah, I'm just painting that back out. Yeah. Oh, my experiment layer is on too. Yeah, we don't want that. There we go. You could flip everything with a hue saturation slider and see everything warm with cool grays. I guess we could. So, I guess that's an interesting idea. His base is already only gray. So, if we tinted everything warm, I said warm, warmer. Yeah, he'll start cooling off, and it still looks cool. Yeah, it's a totally different feel. But yeah, it is interesting how he cools off there and then warms up there. You know. All right, guys. Well, thanks again. Thanks for all the questions. Good questions today. Do I ever do traditional stuff? I didn't answer that. Rarely. At conventions, I draw and sketch and stuff, markers and whatever. But other than that, nah. Ever since 2002, I've barely drawn on paper since. All right. Appreciate it, guys. Take care. Have a good one.